Hi, welcome to my channel. This is another video related to JavaScript objects. And in this video, I will cover the object to primitive conversions. What it is. Sometimes we may have this kind of code, which is we have one object, okay, which is the obj1 here. We use this obj1 plus obj2, and obj1 and obj2, they are objects. And when we do plus sign, or when we do subtract, okay, or print using alert, this is an object, what's gonna happen? And as we know, like when we do plus and minus on objects, how can we add? How can we add, right? So in this case, we were facing one issue, which is in this case, those objects needed to convert into what? Into primitives in order to do those operations. So what's the conversion rules here? First, there's no convention to boolean types because all the objects are treated as true. In JavaScript, we have a truth and a false value, right? We just need to remember all the false values like false, 0, 0.0, empty string, null, undefined. And all other cases, we will treat them as truth values. So all objects are truth values inside the Boolean context. That's why there's no convention to Boolean because all of them are true. But they do exist, have numeric and string conventions. This is talking about sometimes our object will convert into a number. Sometimes it can be converted into a string. Here we have two examples. First one show you what is a numeric convention, when it's going to happen. Suppose we do a subtract objects or apply mathematical functions. And in that case, we have to do the object to number, the convention. Okay, like here one example, the date object. Okay, and we will see the date and time. We'll see this object in later chapter. And when we do date, okay, if you give a date 1 and a minus date 2, which is doing a mathematical function, right, then it's gonna return the time difference between two dates. And in this case, date 1 is an object, date 2 is an object, and both of them will be convert into number. Okay, then it will do subtract. The other convention listed here is called a string convention. This is gonna happen in context like alert, and when we do alert, he will convert whatever inside here into a string. Okay, so it will convert, in this case, it's gonna convert into object into a string. Excuse me. And in other similar context, suppose we use object as a key of another object as a property. In that case, it will also convert object to string. Okay, so we will see this example in the future slides. Okay, and now how JavaScript decide which convention to apply? Should we convert use string? Should we convert use a number? Okay, and based on a JavaScript document specification, it is use something called hints. Okay, hints. And the first one we'll take a look at is a string, which here is talking about our JavaScript object will convert into a string type. And when we were gonna have a string type being converted is when we do an operation on an object that is expected to a string. In here we give two examples. One is alert and the other one is object as a property key. let me show you example in the IDE. Okay, so I will discard and I will go to the Visual Studio Code, and let me write it from scratch for you guys. And we will have a let user equals, okay, which is a first name Miss Xing, okay, and we have a gender is a female. And if we try to do alert this user, then alert will expect, okay, the thing inside alert passed to here to be a string. So internally, internally the user will be converted into a string, which is object has to be converted to string, okay. So this is one scenario. So here you see this is the default one called the object. We'll talk about this one later, okay. This is one. The other one is, suppose I have an object equals, okay, which is last name, and here we will add something. And then what I'm gonna do is I want to use this user object as a property key inside the OBJ. How would you do? You probably will do like this way, like a user, and I will give the value. The value is whatever, okay. Then we can also use OBJ, like COG, OBJ, and then user to retrieve the value. Okay, here we have to use a bracket and a square bracket notation, because this user we want to refer to the user variable, not use the string user. That's why we use bracket here. Okay, now let's go back to the browser to see. You have object, and in the console we'll see whatever. And in this case, here the user is an object, and we use this object as a key, and it's gonna turn into a string. Okay, so this is a string conversion, which is when we use alert, or when we do like this case, with this one is the same as I did. Okay, then they'll do string. Next one is we'll convert into number. In scenario is what? Suppose we have a date, or suppose we are doing math. Okay, then we're gonna have convert into a number. What's gonna happen here? We have an example. Suppose I do like this way. Let number equals number, and I give an OBJ here. In this case, because we are trying to we are use OBJ, this object, as kind of like a method call into this number, okay, and we're trying to convert OBJ into a number. And in this case, it will call it will do the object into a number, the convention. Okay, we can take a look at this one. And you will see NN. Why NN? Because this is an object. This an object cannot convert into a number, so it will get an NN. The same thing. Suppose I give something like an ABC here, you will also see NN, because it cannot be converted into a number, right? So the same scenario here. Okay. Okay. And the next one we will see here is like a new date. Okay, new date. This one I don't want to show. New date, which is this one, had a plus then. Okay, which is unary. Okay. Number 2 equals new date. because if I directly give new date, it will give you current date. Okay, this one it will give you current date. It will give you current date, which is current date, right? This one. But then I did an operation on that, unary operation. Okay, plus unary operation. Then when you do like this way, you will see it will convert the date as a number. Okay, and basically is the million, probably is a million seconds of the date. Okay, and last one in the demo we show you is suppose we want to get a difference between them. This one we have to be careful because this one is get a current time. Okay, this date kind of like a date and a timestamp also. Probably this one probably you will see is 0. Okay, if it's moving too fast, you will see 0. Okay, we can learn the API and we can do later because currently they are when we new date it will doesn't have any difference here. That's why it give you there's no time between them when the computer execute too fast. Okay, so this one, last one is a default case. Okay, so this one is rarely happen because this one happened is when operator is not sure what type to expect, and normally we don't have this case, but I do have. Okay, suppose binary plus, we have a plus can work both with string, and when we use plus between the two strings, it will do string concatenation, right? Or only one of the operands is the string, then it will also do concatenation, and you will do numbers and when we add them. So if a binary get an object as an argument, it will use a default to convert it. Suppose I have 1 plus and 1 plus an object, it will use default. And if an object is compared using equal with a string or number or a symbol, it is unclear which conversion should be done, so default is gonna be used. So here we show you two examples is when we use plus on two objects, then it's gonna use default one. Okay, and here we use an object compare with a number, and you will also use default hint. Now let me show you here. Suppose we have a late default one. Okay, equals like x1 plus x2, and let's see. Okay, default one. Default. You will see object. Why? Because in this case, object cannot do it. So default one for this case gonna be a string. So you will convert this one to be string and plus convert this one to be string. And when we use alert, okay, it's gonna convert an object into a string, right? It's gonna be use this one. Okay, it's use this one will be the alert for the object. That's why it's concatenated. Okay. Next one we show you here is if we want to use this one as an comparison. I just copy paste it here. Okay, and then we will have CLG inside if. Okay, then it will convert what? It will also do a default. And you will don't, it's not going inside because this one doesn't treat it as a true. Okay. Well, you default. What's the default value for this one? Nine. Let's take a look at this one. it's still 9. Well, I have to do like this way. It's a false, okay, because they are not the same. This one not equal to 1. But I would expect this one to be true, see? But it's not, okay, because here is considered as false, okay. Let me add a 0 here to see. Still false, cannot be converted. Probably that one is will convert into n because then know which one. Then you will convert this one into n, when no matter we use equal or less equal, it's gonna become false. Okay, let me use less. Okay. Okay, good. So what is this condition? So no matter what I use greater than or less than 0, it will all give false, right? The reason is here this I and 9 will be trying to convert, use default. Default here should be used like a kind of like a number when we compare, and this one become no, when you compare n with any other thing, okay, it will always give false. N cannot compare it with others. If you do, it will always give you false. So that's this one, okay. Now let's me take a look at next one. So methods of convention, you actually can override those methods, okay. So to do the convention, JavaScript will try to find and call 3 object methods. The first one, do you remember last video? I talked about a symbol.toPrimitive. This is a system symbol, right? So first it will call this function. And pass a hint, okay? This method with a symbolic key, which is this one, system symbol. If the method exists, okay, it will call this one. If that exists, it will call, and the hint is a string. Then it will call toString or value of whatever. And if the hint is number or default, it will call value of, then call toString, okay, whatever exists. So now take a look at the example here. First one is symbol.toPrimitive, okay, and this is a system symbol, and it's used as a key, okay, because it's gonna be hold the values. That's why we use a bracket here. And it's gonna return, it will give a string, okay. Should be used to name a convention name like this one, which is suppose you want to override, then you can add one by yourself, and it must return a primitive type, okay. It must return a primitive type. Hint will be one of them. This value hint gonna be string, number, or default. Now let me show you a demo here. I'll have another demo. I'm going to do is using this one. Let me write it from scratch for you guys. Okay, I'll have let user. I will have first name. Let me just use name. Name is Miss Xing. And have a age, okay, which is 18, okay. Do like this way. So in my user currently, I didn't have any conversion methods, okay. I didn't override, so it's gonna be use a default one, right? And when we use default one, let me comment of this. And here, ignore for those comments, because the comments are based on previous, based on the demo with those methods, okay. Now we go back to the browser, take a look at, I have to go to use this one. And you will see object, and NN, and object 500. which is alert. It will convert this one to be toString, right? toString gonna be object default one. I think I have one slide talking about this one. This one. It will return the object toString. This one. When we directly alert user, it will call the toString method. It will return object. Okay, I did this one. So here and here we were trying to do a unary, right? When we do the unary, see here, unary. Okay, you will get an n because this object you cannot convert an object into a number. And if we cannot convert it into a number, then it will give you an n. Ignore the comments, okay? And last one is we'll do a string concatenation, actually, because here the user at plus 500, it's kind of like you don't know which way you should convert, so you're gonna use default. Default in our case, in this case, it's gonna be use the toString method actually. Then it's gonna be object, then plus 500. Okay. So if we want to make it work correctly, you can have your own method here, and you have to do the symbol dot to primitive. Okay, and this is a method, and this method optionally can give a hint. Okay. And let's take a look at a hint in each case. Okay, and I will do plus hint. How about like this way? So here we will user, you will have a hint printed, and alert plus user, you will have this one again, and then user plus 500, you have hint again. Let's take a look at. You will see the first one is undefined. You will see hint is string. Next one, you will see hint number. Last one, you will see hint default. Okay, so here in this case, if I do here, the hint gonna be string, and if I do like this unary on this object user, you will see the hint is number. If I do a plus sign here, okay, the hint gonna be default. And because I didn't have anything returned, you can return something, like a return. Suppose I give what's the I will do like this way. Return if hint equal to string, I will return name. Okay, otherwise I will return this dot name. Otherwise I will return this dot age, like this way. So if it's a hint is string, okay, it's equals to a string, okay, then I will use this dot name. Otherwise I will use this dot age. Okay, now let's take a look at format. Because we know this one, the hint is a string, right? You will see miss xing, okay, and hint string, and you will see this one is number, hint is number, you will get 18, and this one when we default, it's gonna be also become 18, because when we default in this case, we actually kind of like do a plus, right? So it will use, it's not equal to string, okay, because default, and here we don't have a default, it's gonna be use this age as a default, right? Because the hint in last case, the value is default. Default is not equal to string, so it will go to this dot age. Okay, if I switch, then it can become the name. So this is a symbol dot to primitive because I found it. If I found it, then I use this method as a conventional rule. If I don't find it, then it will looking for toString or value of method. Okay. And don't be confused about this method, okay? This is the method name, and we have to use bracket because system.to primitive, you can treat it as a variable name. Since it's a variable name, you have to use a bracket to hold the value, right? And the hint, this is a func method. Eventually, is a method inside a user, okay? This is first one, string.to primitive. And we do have others. The demo is same one. The other two is one and two string. The other one is called the value of. Because if there's no symbol of the to primitive, then for the method to string and value of. And the string hint will call to string method first. Then if doesn't have, it will call value of. Other hint, it will call value of method first. If doesn't have, it will call to string method. And this method must return a primitive value. Okay. If toString and the value of return an object, it's gonna be ignored, same as there's no other methods, because toString and value of and the system.to primitive, it expect you return a primitive value. Now let's take a look at one of the. I think I have one. Okay. In the default case, by default, a plain object has a following toString and value of. A plain object like let student ID equals this one, name is this one, and the toString method will return object. That's the reason when we alert the user, and the user will call the toString method, and toString you will see this one for all the objects, and the value of will return the object itself. You will see user.value of will be equal to user. We will give you true. Okay, I will show you an example later. And last one is show you if I have toString and a value of, then for the string, okay, convention it will call toString first. If it doesn't have, it will call value of. And for the number convention, it will call value of first. If it doesn't have, it will call toString. So now let's take a look at all the cases, okay, which is this one and this one. First, I will show you this one, which is a default case. We will do our comment this one, and I will uncomment this part. When we alert student, this is a plain JavaScript object. I didn't do anything special, right? And when we do alert student, it will do a hint is a string. Hint a string. It will try to convert the object into string. And default implementation, the toString method, okay, inside the JavaScript, the default implementation will give you what, like this way, object. I forgot which one is capital, which one. The first one capital, second one capital. The first one lowercase. It will give you object. Okay. And the second part, the value of the implementation is the student itself, so it will give you true. Let's take a look at if it is correct. Browser will refresh, you will see object, and you will see true. Okay, that's a default implementation. That's a default toString and the value of implementation in a plain JavaScript object. Now let's do a test, which is if I have. Okay, what I'm going to do is I will comment this one, because if I have this one here, it will always use system symbol to primitive. Okay, I will do is have a toString method here. And toString, make sure it will always return primitive type, okay? And this start name. Okay. Now let's take a look at. We will see. We'll do alert again for all three, right? And the first one is a string. Second one is number. Number should call value of, okay? But we don't have, so it will call toString. Then it the default one. Okay, let's take a look at. You will see miss Xing work properly, correctly. You will see NN because cannot convert, and this one is miss Xing and 500. So here, all of them actually call the value of a toString method here. The first one where you will see miss Xing, right? The second one we are trying to convert it into a number, and this miss Xing cannot convert it into a number, so you will get NN, right? And this user will convert to be toString, which is miss Xing plus gonna do the string concatenation, okay? And you also can have a value of here. Let's give a value of the value of here. I will return this start age, okay? I'll return restart age. Let's take a look at it one more time. Refresh. You will see miss Xing, and now you see 18 because the when we do a number, okay, the hint is a number, it will call value of first, then call string of. If doesn't have, then it will have 518, okay, which is because here I have both, and for the string, and you will call this one, and for the number, it will call this one. That's why, okay. And if I turn on this one, it will always call symbol, as we demoed, right? It will always call this one, not this one. See here, string and number, hint and default, all of them will go to symbol.to primitive. Okay, that's the object to primitive convention. Basically, the rule is what? The rule is first it has the 3 hints: number, string, number, and default. Okay, string is in what kind of cases it will use a string, like a alert or as a property key. And to number is like we do unary plus and we do minus. We call the number explicitly. It will call do number. In other cases, it's gonna call what's thing. We'll call default, right? And you can also override the what's thing convention methods by yourself, or implement convention method by yourself. One is the object.primitive, object.toPrimitive. Okay, this is a system symbol and it will represent a value, so we use bracket here. The other one is a string and toString. Okay, and if system.toPrimitive existing, it will use this one. Otherwise, it will go to Otherwise, if it's a string hint, it will call toString first, then call value of. If it's other hint, it will call value of first, then call toString. Okay, and make sure no matter it's a system symbol.toPrimitive or toString or value of, make sure they all return a primitive type, because you are doing object to primitive, right? If you return an object, that makes sense, right? So that's this topic. I finished all the slides. Hope you understand, which is object to primitive conventions. Okay, you can write a little bit demo to test what I covered. So that's it. Thank you for watching my videos. See you next time. Bye bye.